Welcome guys back to another episode on the Myles Show. You know Thursday means it's Myles Show. 2 p.m. always ready to give you good insight about life and societal issues. The last time we were here we talked about home stress. Today we're going to be talking about work stress and how burnout work stress can put on ourselves. So we have here our guest as usual, Lorna, with us talking about workplace stress, and hope for us to be Welcome guys back to our episode today. Today is the Myles Show. Welcome guys onto another episode on the Myles Show. Today we're going to be discussing about work stress. With me I have here our guest Lorna, who's going to be taking us through this episode. As always, you know, like, subscribe and share our videos, and it's always on every Thursday at 2 p.m. So on normal instances, we know some of us who are not lucky enough to have good work environment. So today we're going to be looking at ways in which we can be able to cope with work stress, and Lorna is our best guest who's going to take us through this. Welcome, Lorna. So Lorna, how have you been?
I've been fine, doing well, and happy to be here to talk about, workplace, a stress that we rarely talk about.
Yes, for sure, because personally I've seen or I've heard instances whereby people are usually not energetic to go back to work on Mondays, and people are very happy to come back home after work because of maybe their boss is too much on their necks rather than being a very work-friendly area. So for example, you can also start with giving us examples of work stresses that you have had as a counselor, because maybe you have clients who come to you complain that, I have stressful work, not necessarily about the employed people but also self-employed people. Yes, you can take us through that.
Okay, so workplace stress is something that is normal, but it's something that we don't talk about. Why? Because we feel it's something that, you say, work has to be stressful. No, work doesn't have to be stressful. I've talked to so many people who talk to me and tell me the work that I do is so enriching. I'm so happy when I go to work. I'm so happy when, and most people are those, of course, who do businesses, their own kind of businesses, their own kind of companies. You find someone saying, I love my work, yeah? And there's a very big difference between loving your work and being a workaholic. Those are two very different things. Does not mean for you to love your work, you need to be a workaholic. It means loving your work and ensuring that whatever you do it from your heart, yeah? So some of us, especially some of the workload stresses, some workplace stresses would be workload, a lot of workload. So you find maybe a company, especially, I was just talking to a friend of mine the other day, and during this KRA, filing in KRA returns, he was very overwhelmed because it was a period of, a lot of work being done. So there's always a time in your workplace this is the time that it's very busy. This is the time it's not very busy. So workload could cause a lot of stress. Maybe, for example, you're sleeping less because of having to take work home, or maybe you find you're not even able to do things that you used to do, maybe even with your family members on weekends, because you're being called ever so often. Right now you're the company manager, things are not going right. This Saturday we are going to Nakuru, next Saturday we are going to Limuru, the other Saturday we are going to Kisumu. So what happens? That workload could cause a lot of stress. Another one is expectations, unrealistic expectations, thinking that maybe I'm supposed to give in maybe a specific project by next week but you feel this week and this week I'll just relax. Then what happens? You give yourself an unrealistic expectation that you'll do a 40-page report within 2 days. So what happens? You get stressed up, and it also affects even who you are and your mental well-being. Another thing, especially on workplace stress, is even interpersonal relationship. You find colleague to colleague, maybe this is someone, we are human beings. You don't like this person, and you have to sit next to them every single day of your life. Or maybe you have a specific quarrel with this person, or something happened, maybe a conflict, and this is someone you have to sit with. Another conflict would be between employee and employer, yeah, where you find this is someone you don't like, absolutely you don't like. So it will cause you stress, because this is someone you have to see every day, will come to your desk, will give you maybe pressures, will tell you how you are not even, someone who is working well in the company. So you feel, wow, okay, so you've made me feel less of a person, yeah. Another one is harassment, where you find some of the stress that could happen, especially right now. It's really going up. I think even those when the students were talking about sexual harassment between students and teachers, even workplace harassment came up, where you find an employer will tell you, for you to get a specific favor, you need to do something, and of course that is harassing you sexually, or you find a colleague telling you that by the way, there is this project I need you to do, but you have to give me something. So they harass you sexually. Could be bullying, even making you feel less of who you are, or could even be sometimes even as much as bullying, could even be sexual harassment. They could even want to rape you, they could want to do things to you that you don't want to. Another thing that gives a lot of workplace stresses is also time boundaries. Not being able to set time boundaries, ensuring that maybe you're supposed to leave, for example, work by 4 p.m. in the evening, and you find you are extending because of something specific or something that you need to do. So you find most of the time you get home so tired, you're not even able to wake up the next morning. So of course it stresses you up. Work is something that's supposed to be enjoyable. I think when God created work, He created it to be something that we love, something we enjoy, something. Yes, I know right now we have put work so much, we equate work with money, but work is supposed to be something where even if you get your 50 shillings by the end of the day, you're happy with what you've done, That 50 shillings will go a long way to maybe help you. Right now we've equated that the best work is those that you're paid more than 100,000 or 200,000, and you find those are the works that are more stressful because, of course, the responsibilities come even more than someone who is being paid maybe 20,000. Or you find maybe, even low salaries could also cause stress, for example. So you find, for example, you're going to work and today you're being paid 5,000, next week you're being paid 10, the other week is 1,000, the other week there is no money. So of course that, you're not sure what is happening today, what will happen tomorrow, what will happen. So you get very stressed and you don't know what exactly is happening. So those are some of the workplace stresses that I can think about. Workplace stresses that I can talk about.
Sometimes people cannot really just quit their jobs because of, they need the money, financial stability, So in situations whereby you cannot quit your job, or let's say if you are a self-employed, you cannot leave that job because you are the breadwinner, or that job is the only thing that is giving you enough financial stability to engage in other things, maybe like paying for school fees for your children, let's say maybe for be able to provide the necessities like food, shelter. So how can one be able to handle a workplace stress, both employed and self-employed?
I think we talked about the other time when we're talking about home stress. It's something that's normal, it's something that's there. So it's just how do we manage it, And there are things that you can do even in your workplace that you feel this could help me because this is somewhere it's like it's like a must, Like people talk of thank God it's Friday, and then people are like, oh God, it's Monday, So how do you make your life more interesting such that you don't have those Friday feelings and Monday feelings, that you're blued on Monday, but on Friday you're excited. So what happens is that the week is progressing, I have a friend who talks about waiting for Friday. So they talk of, Monday, no, it's not yet Friday. Tuesday, no, it's not yet Friday. Wednesday, Friday is not even tomorrow, Then Thursday, tomorrow is Friday. Then Friday, now it's Friday, So you find sometimes with workplace stress, it's good to understand exactly who are you as a person, and how are you able to deal with your stress. For example, I have an issue with my colleague, a colleague of mine, we have been having conflicts, Talk it with that person, communicate your problems, because the problem with living in an environment which is stressful and toxic, it may even affect you. You find you're earning money, but that money is being spent in the hospitals, dealing with migraines, dealing with ulcers, dealing with maybe other conditions that are coming, maybe even high blood pressure, even maybe sometimes even high temperatures because of the amount of stress that you're putting into your body. So if possible, try and ensure that this is my stressful environment, The best and the most easiest way to deal with stress is laugh about it. It's never that serious, And we say laugh brings in some feel-good hormones. If you feel something is stressing you up and work is a bit stressful, look for your friends. We always say have a support group, People that these are people, if I'm stressed up, I just can go and laugh with them and we talk about, have you ever been somewhere and you just laugh until your cheeks are basically sore from the laughing? It gives a lot of feel-good hormones. And immediately after that, even if someone stresses you up, it's very rare you get stressed, unless the laugh of course wasn't genuine, but laugh about things like that. Sometimes even I always encourage even workplace, especially when I'm talking to organizations, I always tell them that sometimes as employers, look for days in which you can do team building exercises, get out and have fun, relax, try and get to understand what you can do, try and understand okay, I'm feeling today this place there is not so much unity. Yeah, how can I be able to combine this group and this group? First, because it's competition, that's another stress also, where you find a specific department is fighting with another department, or you're having your own business, maybe a kinyozi for example, and you're fighting competition wise, yeah, with a kinyozi that's next to you. So what happens, it gives you a lot of stress. Once you see a client entering there, you're already stressed. Will I get a client today? Competition is normal, but how do you deal with that competition to ensure that it's not toxic but it's more friendly? Yeah. Another thing is to ensure that at the end of the day, this stress is something that you can deal with. You can control stress that is at work. So try as much as possible to ask yourself, what can I do? What can I do to solve stress? People are different. You might find one will prefer going for sporting activities. Exercise is very good. So you find someone will tell you, hey, I've been stressed at work, so Saturday is just my day off. I go relax, I go chill. And that's why I think God was very categorical when he made the days of the week, because he started with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, then the weekend. Yeah, what is the weekend? It's the end of the week. So that is the time you're supposed to do something that's not work. Yeah, I know we are in a very dynamic world where you find some jobs even you work until Sunday, but you should have days in which you feel this is my day, this is my relaxing day, this is my day to do, I don't know, laundry, this is my day to get off that specific thing that's stressing you, because work is stressful. It's stressful in its own way because you're supposed to do something and do it well. Yeah, you might be in a company for 10 years or even 15 years and you do something specific, maybe a report is not good, and they will remember you not because of the 10 years you worked and the goodness you've done, but they'll remember you for that report. So sometimes never take it too serious, yeah, because at the end of the day, I think we were laughing before the start of this show and we were saying work is not that important, because today I'm at work, tomorrow I drop down dead and they replace me. Yeah, that's how non-important it is. Yeah, the most important thing is how you're feeling. Are you physically okay? Are you mentally okay? Are you socially okay? Do you have your friends, or you're cutting off your friends because nowadays I'm so busy? Have you ever had someone who tells me I'm so busy I can't even pick calls? You're trying to shun away people, and when you're stressed you will not have someone to go to. Another thing is support group, having people who you can speak to, people you can laugh with even after a long ends day of work, and then having maybe a compatibility partner even at the workplace, where you find there's a colleague, when I talk to her about my problems at work, she tells me, hey, this, address it with them. Boss, for example. Don't think everything is too serious, yeah? And at the end of the day, if it's something that affects the company, then you can even talk to your supervisor, try and see how can you be able to ensure that they understand that I'm stressed and I'm not enjoying the work that I'm doing here, yet I came to give out my best. Because why you're there is because you're there to give your best, yeah? And your best does not have to be your best. My best and your best are very different, yeah? So just understanding that don't put too unrealistic expectations on yourself. It's never that serious. And I think that is what I go with every single day when I wake up. I tell myself it's never that serious. So that at least even when I'm doing my work, I understand that, yeah, there is a limit to that. And when I feel some boundaries have been, taken over, then I talk about it, that there's this boundary I put and now there's harassment, you're bullying me, and this needs to stop, and understanding that you are yourself, you are who you are. Yeah.
Okay, so you've actually even directed me to my next question, whereby you were talking about having some exercise like team building. So now that leads me to my next question, whereby I'd like to ask you, what are some of the fun ways to deal with stress at work? Not necessarily, like sometimes it may not be like people are stressing you, your colleagues are stressing you, but you see the workload of the work. Sometimes you can have so much work that you need like a break, and sometimes I feel like if you are employees, this is for the employers, if your employees are at a very safe place, are very energetic, there'll be more results for you. So what are some of the best ways to deal with, fun ways to deal with stress at workplace?
So the best ways to deal with workplace stress, or fun ways to deal with workplace stress, I think one of them, I've mentioned them, team building exercises, some sporting activities. I once went to a specific company where I was asking the employer, how do you how do you guys relieve stress at the end of the day? And they were telling us that behind the organization there's a basketball court where they either play basketball or they just play some, it does not have to necessarily be basketball, but they just have fun. Some of them play board games. Even board games could help. Actually, board games really work. I always even encourage even parents when they're having children and stresses at home, look for a board game and play together. It always brings back the joy, laughter, laugh it out, Again, sometimes some organizations, you find they have ways in which they can recognize their employees. For example, you find these days that they call employee day, employee award day. So you find there are awards given: best, the person who laughs the most, the one who does the best work, the best timekeeper. It encourages me tomorrow to come to work, because I'll be like, I want an award next time. So that can be a fun way, even for employers, to look for ways in which they can, just get back to the mood. Now, that one has been too much on the people who are in organization. Now, for you in your own business, what are some of the things you can do to have fun? Have sometimes lunches with your colleagues. Maybe sometimes I was speaking to someone once, and they were telling me that in their specific organization, every Friday, first Friday of the month, they used to go out, just go release stress, talk about anything. And it used to be a rule that once we get there, no talking about work. Today we have come to talk about other things. Tell me, who are you? What do you like to do? Laugh and drink and eat and make merry. Those are things that you could do. Enjoy life, because we only live once. Tomorrow, COVID has really taught me a lot that today I'm here with you, tomorrow we might not be here. It's something that is taking lives. Every single day there's a life being taken. So enjoy life. That work that you're doing, yes, it's very important. It will give you the money, but the money you're working so hard for could be useless at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, just try as much as possible to enjoy life. Go for the movies that you love to do with your friends, with your colleagues. If you feel sometimes maybe at work it's too stressful, take some breaks also, and also communicate it. Don't just leave work without anything. Just communicate that I feel overwhelmed by the work that is coming. There's a lot of workload. I wanted like 2 days off, and maybe they'll tell you, out of those 2 days we'll pay you, it's part of your leave days, or there's always that agreement. So just ensure that make up your own fun. I cannot be able to tell you how fun is made, but make up your own fun. Some will even say they cook together. Maybe they'd say one evening, all of us colleagues, we meet in one person's house. We cook, we laugh, we joke, we do everything. It makes life a bit more interesting.
So we have not looked at the effects of stress at workplace. So you can take us through that, because I'm sure there's some effects or impacts that they bring about from stress at workplace. So you can take us through that.
Okay, so there's a part I mentioned where stress affects the emotional, mental, and physical well-being. So the first effects of stress, especially in the workplace, are physical symptoms, where you feel tired, you feel sick. Have you ever been with a colleague who is never at work? Today it's the stomach, the next week it's this. And it's not something that is specific that this person has this condition. It's just because the stress has built up into the body system and the body cannot be able to handle. When you find you have physical symptoms of stress, it's because the stress cannot be handled by the body. So what happens? It reacts. It brings some ulcers, it brings headaches. Sometimes you might find even you have high blood pressure. Those people you talk to and they tell you, my workplace has caused me high blood pressure. Now my pressure is high, and now they have to keep checking their pressures and everything. So it causes physical symptoms. Those are some of the effects of stress. Low motivation. You can imagine. Think up of, for those who are working, think of your first day at work. How excited you are, how motivated you are, how you are bringing it on. And now look at you at this point. You don't have any motivation. You just feel, have you ever just walked to the stage to say, I'm going to work for the sake, I'm coming to work because I have to come to work. I'm coming to work because it's a must I come to work and I'm looking for money. So low motivation, that's another effect of stress. Another one is poor performance. Of course, we know that more stress leads to poor performance. Less stress leads to more performance. So you find you're performing poorly. Maybe you used to be the best in report writing. Maybe even used to come on time. Nowadays, you are not encouraged at all by anything. Another effect of stress, especially in the workplace, is where you find, due to those unrealistic expectations, you find you feel you have a low self-esteem. You tell yourself that I cannot make it because someone told you that, you are not able to give in this deadline. I don't think you're fit for this job. You're not a good accountant, and you believe you're a good accountant. So what happens? Your low self-esteem goes low. Another one is absenteeism. Where you find you're absent from work. Today you're not there at work. You don't have a reason. Maybe you even lie. My child is sick. Your child is not sick. You're just overwhelmed by the stress, So you find you are someone who used to attend work every single day. Now all of a sudden, there's nothing you can do. So those are some of the effects of stress, and stress can cause very adverse effects. It could even cause depression, because you find you're stressed for a long period of time. You have not managed that stress. So what happens? You dive into depression. You have to start looking for money to go to a mental health hospital. Mental health hospitals are very, very expensive, and you find even just sleeping for one night, having a session, because remember, mental health, as I was talking about, it has to be comorbid with medication and therapy. So you can imagine therapy is 3,000 shillings. What about medication? I haven't yet slept in that place. I need a doctor to assess me every single moment, because this is my mental health. It's not physical. It's not something I can see. I can feel, my leg is paining, So it's good to understand this and to understand that you need to manage stress. Otherwise, it will get a hold of you and it will ruin you. Have you ever felt where you talk to a friend and you realize, this is not the friend I used to know. This is not the Myles I used to know. He used to be so energetic. Nowadays, it's like the body is being pushed to work. The body is being pushed to be himself. Be yourself at the end of the day. Because what matters is not the work. If you look at most eulogies, I'm sorry to take you to death, but if you look at most eulogies, you realize that they don't talk about he used to work here. They don't talk about where you were born, your parents, and maybe if you were baptized and all those things, especially the spiritual aspect. And then they talk about maybe, what you used to do, for example. But they don't talk about he was a member of, and he worked here for 3 years and used to be the head accountant. It's not important. Most important thing is, who are you? He was hardworking, he was cheerful, he was loving, he was, and those are the things that will matter. People will not remember that you worked for Clean Shelf Supermarket. They'll remember that you used to be a nice person. You used to be kind. You used to reach out. Yeah.
And also another thing, let me just also give my 2 cents here. As you said, the most important thing is yourself, you as an individual. And that's true, because even if you're the most hardworking person, even if you're the most brilliant person in that work environment, even if you're the most talented, they can still fire you. That does not define who you are, and they can drop you immediately and get another person. Same thing that when someone dies, they'll replace you immediately. But the one thing that we make a mistake is that we give the workplace so much power, we forget about ourselves, we forget about where we stay, we forget about our home, because I don't think as a dad I'll be so happy that I'm such a workaholic that I do not have time for my kids. Sometimes, sorry to say, but sometimes even you hear so many kids complain that, my parents don't have time for me. And then you see some kids become like rebels, or like they become indisciplined because they do not have that. I know like right now things are tough, like financial stability is really important for so many things, but the workplace, especially for maybe the jobs that really demand so much of you, and there's nothing that you're getting from it. For example, you can be working so hard but you're not getting an upgrade. For example, let's say you are in the like just working, and then you're not getting much. You're working so hard to become a manager, and you're not being given that chance. And then another thing is that I believe that we should all find ourselves to do the work that we enjoy the most. Sometimes we can be forced to work at certain places so that we can gain financial stability, but I think the best thing is to work at an environment whereby we want to work at that place. Like before, even like you were saying, before even we started talking, we were talking about how some okay, for example, like for me, I did criminal justice, but I'm practicing journalism. I've never done journalism in my life, but it's something I like. I like doing this job. See, I think also everyone should have that, because I've also had so many people, even friends of mine, who they told me that, hey, I quit my job to do this and this, and they're actually doing so much better than that. So I believe that we should always take care of our mental health whenever we are at a workplace. If that work environment is really toxic for you, take a step back, relax, have some time by yourself, or talk to the HR, because I think that's the work of HR. If you're having issues, talk to the HR, they see what they can do and all that. And also have colleagues who are very helpful, who can help you out whenever you have issues, who can advise you because sometimes the stress is really, I don't want to say minimal, because no one is supposed to judge how much stress is supposed to be. But you see, when you talk to your colleagues, the way you're saying, they can be of so much help. You know, it can be something small that your friends can help you, and then the whole stress ends right there. So I believe the workplace is also like another home for you, because from Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of hours. So that's also a home to you. That's also your family. I think, we should take care, and thank you for helping us understand how to manage it, fun ways to deal with it, and the effects of workplace. Thank you. Any final remarks you have for our viewers?
I think for me, I'll just insist on the part that you need to know when you're burnt out, because burnout is more of like stress, but it's a mental physical and emotional exhaustion of the body and mind and everything. So burnout, when you burn something, it's to the end, it becomes black. It cannot be recovered, So remember, it's good to understand when you're burnt out, and it's normal, even as counseling psychologists, we reach a point where we feel, we are overwhelmed, and we take a step back. So understand when you're burnt out and try and manage stress, because stress is something normal. Yes, as I keep saying, it's something normal, but it can be controlled. You can live without stress, and you can be able to help your life even to progress day in, day out by trying to manage your stress as much as possible. So it's okay not to be okay. I always repeat that. And it's okay to not to be okay as long as you're doing something about it, as long as you're not giving up.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today for this grand episode. Would you like to close the show for us today? You've actually never closed the show for us. You've always introduced it. So today, if you don't mind, will you close for us?
Okay. So thank you so much, viewers, for being here today. Remember, workplace stress is real, and you can be able to manage that stress. It's okay not to be okay, as long as you don't give up. Till next time, like, subscribe, and share our pages. Thank you.